Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's RealGUIDE Session 3 webinar. My name is Nicholas Jimenez. I am part of the RealGUIDE Digital Technology Specialist team. I will be conducting today's webinar over partially edentulous guide design and fully edentulous guide design using the patient's denture. So without further ado, we will go ahead and get started. So I am going to open up our RealGUIDE software. So if you joined us in sessions 1 and 2 on Monday and Wednesday, we went over how to treatment plan these cases, a partially edentulous tooth-borne case and a fully edentulous case using the patient's denture. So we have those cases ready to go. They are ready to be designed. So first, we'll go ahead and design our tooth-borne guide. So I have our treatment plan right here ready to go. Partially edentulous case, ready for design. I'm going to go ahead and open that up. So we have our partially edentulous case open, 2 implants placed, model is merged. We are ready to design this guide. So the first step, what I'm going to do is go ahead and go to our guide design module. It's going to be on your left side here. It says guide design. We're going to go ahead and left click on that. That will open up our guide design module, and we are ready to start doing our guide design. So the first step is we will have our model present. Here is where we would create our path of insertion for our surgical guide and also block out any unnecessary information that we don't want to show up in our undercut model when we go to design the guide. So first thing what we want to do is select the right model. If we do have multiple models in, we want to make sure that we select the correct model. So here at the top, right under undercut generation, we will have a drop-down box that allows us to select our models. So here I have our patient's anatomy, and I also have our wax-up prosthesis. So obviously we do need to work with the anatomy, so I'm going to go ahead and select that one. And from here, I can begin to maneuver and position my model to where we can create a good undercut. So bring it to our model here, drag over our mouse, just hovering above it. Using the left click, we're able to rotate our model, set our path of insertion, and then using our kind of this cone here in the middle, we can left click on that and maneuver it to where we create our block out, getting rid of all this excess here, the dark shades we see there. So you can see as I begin to move it, they will start to go away. So we get a good undercut model here where we can see what we need to see. Path of insertion looks good, so we're ready to go. So once we have that set, we can click Set Insert Direction. That will save those settings, and now we can generate our undercut. So we'll drop right here where it says Generate Undercut. And that will create our undercut model. So we're going to go ahead and use a left click again just to move our model around. And this will be our model that we use for guide design. If we are happy with this, we can go ahead and hit Next Step. And we are ready to create our guide. So if you see on the left side here, we now have a couple of meters that we can adjust. This will set our guide offset and our thickness. These you can go ahead and definitely mess around with, see which ones work for you. It definitely creates multiple guides. It all really depends on how your printer is. Let's say each offset, each thickness is different with each printer, each material. So definitely we recommend messing around with these offsets, finding out which one works for you. So our guide is ready to be designed. So all we need to do is just rotate our model around, find a good starting point. So I'm going to go ahead and start right here on number 29. We are working with implants 30 and 31. I'm going to go ahead and turn on our sleeves. That'll help us out in designing this guide as well. So on the right side here, we have our objects list. We can choose to turn our sleeves on from here, or we have our little shortcut tab here on the top left, there is a little sleeve icon that says show/hide sleeves. We can left click on that and it'll turn them on and turn them off. So we'll turn on our sleeves just to help us out during this guide design, and we will begin. So again, I'm going to start on number 29. I am going to left click, and that's going to add an orb for us. So kind of similar to where we were creating our CPR, we're just adding our orbs by left clicking where we want on our undercut model here. So depending on how you usually want your surgical guides designed, you can choose to create a full arch or a quad arch, completely up to you how much support you want, how much material you want to use in your printer. So we'll go ahead and create kind of a full arch guide here. So again, just left clicking to place my orbs on the teeth, while also clicking off of the model and using my left click to rotate it. Get back here on our molar. And again, now rotating to our lingual side and doing the same process of adding our orbs on the teeth. Now let's say you do make a small error and say you accidentally click off and add a orb where you don't want it. You can simply hover over that orb, use your left click, and you're free to move it around. If you don't want to do that, you can just hit your undo arrow up here to redo the former step. So we'll go ahead and continue on by adding our orbs on the teeth here. So we don't want to create any weak spots on our guide, so we're going to kind of just engage here with the sleeve, or close to the sleeve, I should say. We'll rest on the tissue here and come back to our molar in the posterior here. So we're going to connect our last orb to our first orb here on number 29. So this is going to be our surgical guide. We can also turn off our undercut model here on the objects list. It says undercut. We can just go ahead and left click this white square here to turn it off. And we can see our orbs here. Everything is nice and connected. This will be our surgical guide. Turn back on our undercut. And we're going to go ahead and create our guide. So come over here to the left side. We can left click where it says create guide. That's going to prepare our surgical guide. So our surgical guide has now been created, resting on our undercut model. And again, using our left click, we can rotate our model around, get a good look at our surgical guide. We can also turn off our undercut just to see the guide itself. So zooming in on our guide using the mouse wheel, you can go ahead and zoom in here. Definitely some excess we need to cut off, and it looks like there's a couple weak spots. If I turn on our undercut, we can definitely add some material here just to strengthen it up a little bit. And also, we can go in here and create, this is where we would create our windows, and also clear some of this excess out. That way we have some room to get our handles and our drills in there while we're doing surgery using our surgical guide. So we'll go ahead and start by making the windows and cutting out some of this excess here. So if we look on the left side, we have multiple tools that we can use. We will add some material using the add tool. We can remove some of that material using the remove tool, smooth it out, and also fill in some of the areas if we need to fill in anything. So I'm going to start by creating some clearance here near our sleeves. So a good tip to know is we can make our guide transparent to where we only see, we can see through the guide and see our sleeves. So using our objects list here, we can click on these little three little markers here in this box and toggle our transparency. This will make our guide transparent to where we see only the sleeves, and we can get a real good idea and make some nice cuts of how much space we need to clear out. So I'm going to make our sleeves kind of flush here, and I'm going to clear out some of the material here on the distal side. So I'm going to go to my toolbar here, grab our sculpting tool, just left click on that, and I'm going to clear out right here on the distal. So I'm going to start by just above our sleeve, hit the left click to add our orb, and I'm just left clicking, adding each individual orb how far I want to go. So all of this excess here highlighted in our purple cut tool, I'm going to go ahead and sculpt that out. So I'm going to go ahead and hit apply, and that's going to make some clearance for us on the distal side. Looks pretty good. We'll go ahead and do that to number 30 on the mesial side. Now, do be careful, because if I was to cut it right here from this side, it is a 3D object, so it will capture here on the opposite side, and we don't want that. So we're going to go ahead and rotate our model to where there is nothing on the opposite side of our sleeve. And to make it a little easier, I'm going to go ahead and turn off our undercut model. That way we only see the guide. So again, using our mouse left click to move our surgical guide around, I'm just maneuvering it to where our sleeve is pretty flush, where I only see the top of it. Kind of flush like that right there. We're going to grab our sculpting tool again, using the left click to select it. And again, I'm just going to add my orbs here by left clicking to remove this excess. We'll hit apply. And again, we have a nice clearance for our handles. Turn back on our undercut model. And it looks like we can also get rid of some of the excess here on the bottom of our sleeve. So again, grabbing our sculpting tool, and just maneuvering our orbs here, we get a nice clean cut. We'll hit apply. That way we have some space under our implants there for some irrigation. But we still have plenty of support here resting on those teeth. So I'm going to go ahead and make our guide non-transparent now. Again, by clicking on the little box where it says guide next to that, left click, toggle transparency, and that gets rid of that transparent guide. So now our guide has plenty of clearance for our handles. And now we can go in there and kind of bulk up our pucks here, add some more material to these connections just to make it a good, strong connection so there is no weak areas in our guide. I'm going to turn off our undercut model, grab our add tool here. And once we select our add tool, we can change the tool size and the tool strength, using our little sliders here. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring it over to our puck. And I'm going to use the left click just to add material all around it, kind of just to strengthen it up. Strengthen up our connections here and on the opposite side. So once we do add material to our guide, it will get a little bulky, so we can use our smooth tool. Go ahead and left click on our smooth tool. Same thing, we can adjust the size and the strength of our smooth tool. And we'll just hover over where we added that material just to smooth it out. So it looks pretty good. We have a nice strong connection. Plenty of material in there to keep it nice and strong. So now I'm going to turn back on our undercut model. And we are going to add some windows throughout our guide. That way we can use these windows for irrigation as well, and also to verify the seat of our guide. So I'm going to add our windows by selecting the round window tool. Go ahead and left click on that. And like our previous tools, for our round window tool, we have our two sliders here where we can change the depth and the size of the window. By default, your depth will be at 20 millimeters and your size will be at 5. So I'll show you by default, this is the settings you're working with. If I go ahead and add a window, it'll be pretty deep and kind of small there. So if you are satisfied with that, you can keep them at the default settings, but I'll show you how to really maneuver these sliders here to get some good windows. So I don't like that window. I'm going to go ahead and undo that by clicking our undo arrow up here. That will get rid of that. So I find a good size for the depth and the windows to be 8 millimeters and 8 millimeters. So you can adjust the depth by using this little slider here, bringing it down to 8 millimeters, or you can double click on the numbers and using your keyboard there, you can go ahead and just type in 8 millimeters. I find these settings work pretty good for me. Again, just mess around with it, find what works for you. So the best way to set our windows is we're going to view our guide from the occlusal plane here. And I'm just going to bring our window orb here just on the outside of our guide. We're going to left click. And it's going to create a pretty neat window for us, not too deep, and it's not deep enough to where it's cutting through the guide. That's what we don't want, but it's deep enough to where we can see through the guide and then also verify our seat. So we'll add a couple of these windows throughout. Again, just hovering on the outside and left clicking. Put one in the posterior there so we can verify that we are seating back there. So we got nice, plenty of windows all around our guide to verify our seat. Plenty of support where our implants are. So our guide looks pretty good. If we are satisfied with this, we can move on by adding text to our guide here. We'll just go ahead and hit our add text button. That'll bring up some text to where we can place it on our guide. We can adjust what the text says by just filling in our text bar here. So I'm just going to type in test guide. We can adjust the size of our text and also the depth, how deep it goes into the guide, and the spacing of the text. So to place the text on the guide, we're just going to go ahead and bring it over, left click on our guide where we'd like it, just find some real estate on your guide, place mine there in the posterior, and our text is placed. We can also choose to engrave the text into the guide. However, we do not recommend that just because it really does engrave the text into the guide. So once the guide is printed and you do bring it to the washing stage, if you really just adjust it, that if it is engraved, that text does have a chance to just run off when you are cleaning it. So we recommend keeping that off and just having it on the guide like such, and that'll really keep that text in there when you do print it and clean up the guide. So if we are satisfied with our guide here, we can go ahead and hit next step. It's going to bring us to our main screen again, our reports and export screen here. I'm going to go ahead and full screen our 3D view here. Get a good look at our guide. So we can now see our guide is sitting on our model here. Plenty of windows to verify our seat. Nice strong connection here between our implants and the teeth. Good connection, smoothed out, no rough surfaces. And that will be our guide. In this step, we can also, if we wanted to, change the color of our guide just by right-clicking on our guide, and we can change our color, bring up our color palette here. All right, So if you are satisfied with your guide design, you are ready to export it. So you can go over to here where it says export, and you will export guide for milling. Now, do be aware when you do export the guide, this will cost you what is called a click fee. So you are limited to the number of clicks you do have depending on what package you signed up for on RealGUIDE. So depending on your subscription, how many clicks you are available, when you do export these guides to put in an STL format so you can print them out, it will cost you the click fee. So do keep in mind how many clicks you have available. So if we are satisfied with our guide design, we are ready. This one is ready to export. We'll go ahead and save this. Put ready for design. So I'm going to go ahead and put design. Save our project. Okay. And we will close this one out, and that will be our partially edentulous tooth-borne guide. If there are any questions over the partially edentulous, I'll open the chat to this one right now. Alrighty, so no questions right now over the partially edentulous. We'll go ahead and move forward to the next guide, which is going to be the fully edentulous guide based off the patient's denture. So I'm going to go ahead and open this one up. Like our partially edentulous case, this one has been already treatment planned. We are ready to go to the guide design. So again, we have a nice treatment plan here. Denture is merged well. Nice 4 implants with some anchor pins. We are ready to design this. So it's going to be kind of the same steps. We're going to use our guide design module. I'm going to go ahead and left click on that to open it up. Now, we did follow the dual scan protocol when we did the initial treatment plan for this, and we did bring in the patient's denture. So it's going to ask us, prosthesis surgical guide. Do we want to use the prosthesis as a surgical guide body? We're going to hit yes, because we're going to build it off of that denture. It'll bring in that denture. Here, if needed, you can adjust any of the support angles for the sleeves of the anchor pins. Again, print them out, find what supports angles support work for you. This is our denture, nice and solid denture, clean intaglio surface here, nothing blocking it. So we're going to use this as our body for the guide design. So we will hit create guide. That's going to create the surgical guide. So now we have a surgical guide created off of our denture. Pins were added. And we have our sleeves placed. And same thing we did with our partially edentulous guide is we're going to go ahead and create some windows. So as you can see, if I make this guide transparent, and I'm going to turn on our sleeves, we have our sleeves there, but we are blocked by the teeth of the denture. So we can still keep the teeth on the denture, but what we can also do is, like we did in creating some clearance on the partially edentulous case, we can use our sculpting tool just to clear out some of these teeth here. So I'm going to start right here in the anterior. Again, I made the guide transparent, so it's much easier to see where we are cutting. So I'm going to make my sleeve kind of flush there where I'm seeing just at the top. Grab our sculpting tool here and just go ahead and left click to add our orbs and remove some of these teeth here. We'll hit apply, and now we created a good clearance for our handle there. I'm going to go ahead and do the same for the rest of the sleeves. So we definitely have some clearance here in the posterior, but it looks like there's a little bit of excess, some of that lip. That might be an issue, it might not, but we'll go ahead and clear it out. Again, grab our sculpting tool, made our sleeve flush, and just use your left click to add the orbs. We'll hit apply. and cuts that out. Move on to our two sleeves over here. Same thing here in the interior. Definitely need to clear out these teeth. And again, here we have some excess here, maybe a little lip there. Perfect. So now we have our, I'll make this untransparent. So now we do have our surgical guide, still using the denture's teeth. That way we can, once you do place the surgical guide, you have those teeth just to find home, know exactly where this denture is seated. Nice clearance for our handles here. And our anchor pins are strongly connected to our surgical guide here. So you can see we have our markers are still showing up on our denture. It's not necessary, but what we can do is just use our smoothing tool and smooth out these markers just to get rid of them. So we'll select our smoothing tool and we'll just hover over our markers to smooth them. We do have to be a little bit careful here with the strength of our tool that we're not bleeding through to the other side. So our intaglio surface is still intact, so we should be okay. We're just going to rotate our surgical guide here all around and just find our markers and smooth them out. Again, double check our intaglio surface, nice and smooth there. And like we did for the partially edentulous, we can add text. Find some real estate on our guide, left click to add that there. Go ahead and hit next step. And our surgical guide based off the denture is complete. So again, I'm going to full screen our 3D view here, and we can see our surgical guide is designed. I'm going to turn off our X-ray, our CT scan, turn off the rest of our 3D image. Get a good look all around. Nice clearance there. Looks good. And again, if we left click on our denture surgical guide, we can change the color. So let's say we do need, once we're in this step here, we see a cut we need to make more room, or we need to add material, smooth something out. We can do this in this fully edentulous like this, and we can also do it in the partially edentulous. So let's say this is a partially edentulous surgical guide, same thing as well. There's an extra cut you need to make, any material you need to add. You can just go back to guide design. It's going to say your prosthesis surgical guide or your original surgical guide has already exists. You can choose to create a new one, or you can edit your existing guide. You can choose to edit. This will take you back to this screen here where we had our surgical guide. And again, you can still follow the same rules, make any additional cuts, add material or smooth anything out, add some new text. Everything looks good. Once you edit it, you can hit next step, and it will still save your surgical guide with the changes you made. Alrighty, so if we are satisfied with this, same thing, we can hit export. That'll export our surgical guide into the STL format to where we can print it ourselves or send it to a lab partner to have that guide printed out for us. Here again in the export page, we can create our implant report or a drill report using based off of which system we use. The software will generate that drill report for us. So if we're happy with this one, we can save it. This one is designed. Click OK, save it. So now our project is saved. If we need to go back to it in the future, we now have our case still saved with our design on it. And of course, if you have any questions, definitely feel free to give us a call or reach out to us via our support email. So I'll go ahead and cut this one short. So you all have a great weekend, and thank you for joining.